By the looks of my watch, it's officially grave time. Well, here we are, folks. Episode 3 of 3 here at the Eugene Pioneer Cemetery, located in Eugene, Oregon. As I've mentioned before in the last episode and in previous episodes, my interest in visiting the graves of those who fought in the American Civil War. Today we're going to visit the grave of Harold Slavik, who had the same interest, but his interest was at finding the unmarked graves of Civil War veterans and reuniting them with their family members. So let's go ahead and check out his grave, and I'm going to let Mark, who's an artificial intelligence, tell you the story based off of the information off of the Eugene Pioneer Cemetery website.
Lifelong friend and volunteer for the Eugene Pioneer Cemetery Association, Harold Slavik had a singular interest, finding unmarked graves of Civil War veterans. Over the decades, Harold single-handedly played a huge role in identifying the final resting spot of more than 5,000 Union and Confederate soldiers in the Northwest. Those who knew Harold say he was not exactly a warm, personable individual. In fact, he might have better fit into the life and times of the early Oregon pioneers a century earlier. Initially, Harold thought he was descendant of a Confederate veteran. Later he learned that he was actually a descendant of a Union veteran. In his old truck, he accomplished much by driving the back roads of Oregon and Idaho. He used USGS quadrangle maps to locate all the old cemeteries in each county. Harold then carefully walked each cemetery to find individuals in family plots who had fought in the Civil War. It was not uncommon for the normally prickly Harold to strike up conversations with visitors, families, and anyone he could talk to in his quest to locate and identify the graves of Civil War veterans. Harold himself served in the Air National Guard in Minnesota for 6 years and was a descendant of Union soldiers. Throughout his life, Harold never had much cash money but managed to purchase some 5 acres of timberland in rural Idaho. His intent was to be buried there. Unfortunately, he became ill and the land was logged to pay for medical expenses. Harold passed away a penniless old man. In a cruel twist of fate, the Veterans Administration deemed that Harold Slavik only served in the reserves and hence did not qualify for burial in veteran cemeteries or for a military grave marker. Perry Gill of American Legion's Masonic Lodge was Harold's legal guardian during his end times. To correct this, Gill obtained a grave plot in Eugene Pioneer Cemetery that had been purchased by the GAR back in the early 1900s. For his resting place, local stone carver Lisa Ponder repurposed a used military marker that had been stored in the cemetery's maintenance building. Harold contributed vital knowledge about the lives of veterans on both Union and Confederate sides of the Civil War. A very brilliant man, he volunteered immeasurable time so the public might better appreciate the sacrifices these veterans had made and treasure the value of historic cemeteries. Harold held a B.S. degree in Recreation and Park Management from the University of Minnesota, and a B.S. and Master's degree in Geology from the University of Idaho. He would take on tough jobs as a geological consultant for construction site assessment, but only long enough to support his grave finding.
Thank you, Mark. And thank you very much, Harold, for your time and effort and even money, the very little that you had, to locate the graves of American Civil War veterans and reuniting them with family members. And for people like myself who are grave hunters or people into grave exploration, checking out the graves of many different types of people, whether famous or historical, thank you so much for your effort. It means a lot to me. I'm not sure if I mentioned in the previous video, the first one, but the main trip to Oregon was to visit a cousin that I have on my mom's side of the family that lives in Eugene, Oregon. I had never met her before, and this was an opportunity for me, my mom, and my grandma to spend some quality time together. Because my grandma's getting up there in age, her memory is not all that great, and it's just an opportunity to have a memory that we can hold together. So I drove. My dad was gracious enough to rent a van for us, and together we drove up to Oregon. We stopped in Medford, got to see where my grandma grew up, got to see the high school that she went to, got to see some of the houses of family members, and then go up to Eugene and spend some time with my cousin, who I didn't even know even existed. Because honestly, I thought everyone that was on my mom's side of the family that was from Oregon had already passed away years ago. My mom's side of the family is kind of a mystery to me because I don't really know a whole heck of a lot about it. So it was an interesting trip. It was very stressful. Very, very stressful. But I was absolutely blessed to be a part of it, and I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. This concludes the 3-parter from Oregon. Thank you for watching this episode of Grave Time. Make sure you subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be in the loop of the next Grave Time adventure. Until next time, God bless you all and have a wonderful day. Bye.